All right, folks, what is good? This is episode 55 of the VF Cast. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about, basically gaming on this channel. I do have a separate channel that I talk, sports or whatever, but nevertheless, it's like a hobby channel. I want to thank you for coming through. The last video I did about Rockstar and Saints Row, it did pretty decent based on this channel's numbers, and I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. All the feedback, all the comments. I mean, I really, really appreciate it. If this is your first time here or you're here because of that video, welcome. I basically just talk about games, like some pickups that I do or any, some news that I find interesting. Try to put my take on certain topics that are, that are out here and give my own spin on them and all that, all those things under that umbrella. I mostly collect games. If you can see what's behind me, I am somewhat of a retro gamer, but I do have the newer consoles. So there's a little bit of variety of everything over here. I rarely talk about stuff that's like new or whatever, or I'll wait a while after all the stuff dies down, because I'm not one of those types to actually have to talk about the hot topic right away. I try to give you a real honest opinion about it after the dust have settled. So not very reactionary on this channel, but nevertheless, if you're a gamer and you want to learn about certain things or you want to bring your ideas to the table on this channel, by all means, that's what the comment section is for. Also, I'll give you my thoughts and opinions on things that I basically find that are interesting. So hopefully you will find your way here, subscribe, and enjoy your time here. Like I said, I do a little bit of everything from the old school to new school gaming. But today, episode 55, I want to talk about an old ass gamer. That's what I am. And I know I am because of a lot of things that have been taking place lately in the gaming world. I see all these games that have problems: the Cyberpunks, the Saints Row, the Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition, the debacle going on with Halo 5, which is something, or not Halo 5, but Halo Infinite, something I've been wanting to talk about, which that's not necessarily a quality type of game situation. It's just the vision and the the growth of that game has just went out the window. I mean, Halo is just looking so terrible right now. But I remember a time where games were either completely finished and you just enjoyed what they had, or the game was just not finished, it was broken, and you needed a patch, or you just, I ain't gonna say dealt with it, you understood what the game was and it was on to the next game. I think now with the way games are being built and the patches and all this other stuff is caused more of a hassle than it need be. Because we have games that come out that are just jacked up, broken with bugs. Some games with bad storylines. The story's not compelling. Games that just don't keep you immersed anymore. And I love the days when you just had games back in the, I ain't gonna say far back in the day. I mean, you talking about games as early like the first part of the PS4 days, Xbox One days, where games were really pretty decent as far as story, quality, and immersiveness. I think with the more of a cash grab that games are coming out with now, you just don't get that anymore. So I know, I know this is one of the reasons why I talk about older games, or I try to enjoy playing games that are older, that I never had interest in, or that I end up having an interest in because I open my mind. I broaden my horizons with a lot of these games. And I realized that I am more in tune with the older games than I am now. I mean, like I said, you look behind me, I have like all these, Saturn and PlayStation games behind me. And if you look over here, all these games over here, except for like the last couple of rows down there, those are my PS4 and PS5 games. I really enjoy the state of, not I can say the state of gaming back then, but I really enjoy games that just have, just an older school feel to them, just an older, vibe to them. Games where it felt like games where you could tell that the heart and the soul was built into a game that was developed. You could tell when some games are just, I guess you could say, when you see games that are just put out there just to be put out, instead of games that actually had some, some thought, some heart, some passion into the development. Just like The Last of Us 1, the remake is out now. I haven't touched that because, like I said, I've played it before. I played it at a different time. But the game itself is a beautiful game. Now, when I'm talking about visually, it's just a beautiful, well-crafted game. And all they did was, for a $70 price tag, they just upped the visuals. Is it worth the $70? Absolutely not. I don't think it is. But you see a lot of people out here playing the game now because really there's nothing else to play. I beg to differ where it says there's other things to play, because I feel that there's so many games out here on the market, even newer games with the retro feel, that you could go and play and actually enjoy yourself playing. And it's just one thing that I love about these games. I love the fact, like the Castlevania Advanced Collection, the Castlevania Collection, the Contra Collection, a lot of these 2D games that are coming out, like the Mega Man stuff. I love those older style games. It's just, to me, I find them a little bit more challenging. Nowadays, you play games and it's more like, is this game is going to hold up for the rest of the year? Is there's a problem with this game? Something's going to happen. And unfortunately, that the gaming world is like that. But I don't want to hold you guys too much more on that, because I want to talk about another series that may be coming out. But like I said, I just feel that, games nowadays just really need to be, much more polished. They do, because we just had too many problems with games now, where in some cases, if you are a gamer that's just starting out, the last 5-10 years, it's not a really good look for you unless you decide to go back and play some little bit older games. And that's one thing I do like about the PlayStation. Xbox is okay. I don't have a problem with Xbox. I love the original Xbox. That's probably my favorite console. But lately the Xbox series just has not been appealing to me. I love Game Pass, whatever the case may be, but one thing I do love about PlayStation is doing a really good job of bringing a lot of older titles back onto their console. And I'm not talking about like PS, classic or anything like. I'm talking about like older style games that 2D platformers, indie games, the retro style games. You can find a lot of them on PlayStation. I'm pretty sure you can find a lot on Xbox as well, because I know some people may say that. Oh, you can find on Xbox? Yeah, I know that. But I feel like with the PlayStation, it just made me become more of a PlayStation fanboy, or prefer PlayStation, because I really wish Xbox would come with some type of heat. Outside of Forza, I really don't want to play the Xbox, and it really sucks, because the truth be told, I still love playing the old Forzas on the Xbox 360. But I don't want to go too much further than that. I know that I'm an old gamer, and I just started to realize it, and now it's just, it is what it is. As long as I'm having fun, that's all that matters. I wonder how you feel. Are you guys the same way? You tend to draw yourself back to older games like early PS4, PS3 era? I mean, I've did various videos about you need to collect for the PS3 and Xbox 360. You need to do that, because before you know it, those games are going to go up, and it's a good time to go ahead and get some of those games. But I'll probably reiterate that sometime down the road. Before I go, I want to talk about Capcom versus SNK. This series here, Capcom versus SNK or SVC Chaos, whatever you want to call it, this series is probably going to be coming back. I can't wait for this series to come back. I hope it does. I know there's been some articles out there saying that there's some interest between the two. This is probably one of the best crossovers ever created for 2D fighters, in my opinion. I mean, I know you have Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom, so. Everybody still leans on Marvel vs. Capcom 2. But when you look at the Capcom vs. SNK series, those games were like great. Capcom vs. SNK, Capcom vs. SNK Pro, which was only released in Japan. I think they have it on I think they have it on PS1 over here in the States as well. Capcom vs. SNK 2 is a phenomenal fighting game. It was re-released for the PlayStation 3 on the PlayStation Store for PS2 Classics. I think they have it on PS4 as well. I'm not really sure. But that's a phenomenal fighting game. But if it was up to me, I will highly recommend the PlayStation 2 or the Dreamcast version. I think the Dreamcast version is a little bit more true to the arcade experience, but the PlayStation 2 version is fine. And then SNK did their own thing with SBC Chaos, where they had their version of the Versus series. Now, if it's up to me, the way that things are going now with Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 6, and King of Fighters 15, I would love to see the series come back. I would love to see the series come back and the series have the same type of I ain't gonna say nostalgia, but the same type of fighting mechanics that are out today. More updated. Not to say that Capcom SNK2, the fighting mechanics is pretty good. SBC versus Chaos, SC versus Chaos. SBC Chaos, their fighting mechanics is good, but it's more based on King of Fighters 2002, which is, I ain't gonna say it's outdated, but it works pretty well. And that game was not complete. There's a lot of jankiness going on with that game. A lot of overpowered stuff, but I thought the game played fairly well. I enjoy it. I still have it. I love the box art for the Japanese one where it has Mai and Chun-Li on it, because that was supposed to be a thing at one point where Mai and Chun-Li were like the rivals in the game. And I think they still are to this day, but they try to put a big emphasis on it throughout the series. I would love to see this game come back and, like I said, put it up with to be honest with you, I'm more inclined to see an SNK version. I don't want to see Capcom. Don't get me wrong. I think if they do this with somewhat like a Street Fighter 6 type of style, it'd be great, because Street Fighter 6 is looking phenomenal right now. But I feel like if they did an SNK one, because I think SNK, I ain't gonna say they owe us one, but it'd be nice to see one, because they only did one where Capcom did two. And they've been releasing other games out for their for the Switch. Like they've been doing like pocket games for SNK and Capcom SNK. So they've been putting stuff out for the Versus series. I think it's time to go huge and find a way to make a game for the big boys, the big fighting game. Now I know with SNK right now, they're supposed to be working on Garo Mark of the Wolves 2, which quite honestly, if they're starting work on that, I really want them to get that out of the way. Let them do that. Let Capcom finish up on Street Fighter 6, and then they could come back and they'll work together after Garo is done and after Street Fighter 6 is done. Then they could come back and do the Versus series game, because we always thought that Street Fighter Cross Tekken was going to come out, but I think the Street Fighter Cross Tekken one is kind of, I think it's dead for the most part. In my opinion, I don't think it's going to be coming back out. So unfortunately, we're kind of stuck with, basically with Akuma in Tekken 7. It's probably the closest we're going to get to it, which is okay, because Street Fighter Cross Tekken to me, I think it's a very good game. It's just, it came out with so many problems, and the DLC on the disc, which I don't want to talk about that again. Just so many problems to the point where I don't think fans will really want it. I think with the success of King of Fighters 15 and the hype with Street Fighter 6, I think this is the game that they would want. And on top of that, the guys at SNK and Capcom, they have been talking about it. So they're really interested in it. So, and the public interest is there. I mean, Capcom vs. SNK 2 is an amazing fighting game. Very balanced. It's really good. And I would like to see another one, if it's Capcom vs. SNK 3 or SBC Chaos 2, or even if they just reboot it all together and make a whole different title for it, I'll be all for it. So I think it's something that should be in the works. Hopefully, I don't know if it is, but it'd be nice to see, because this is something that I feel that the fighting game community could really, really use. So I think it'd be pretty awesome. So that's gonna be pretty much it for me on this episode. Episode 54, 55. Yeah, I did 55 now. The last one was 54. I'm all over the place. Episode 55 of the VF Cast is now wrapping up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, I talk about mostly things gaming related over here. I'm planning on doing some more pickups. I'm probably going to be picking up some more games throughout the next week or so. So if I do that, I'll do that. And also throughout the week, I will be having more commentary on things that happen throughout the gaming world. Keep my eyes on NBA 2K23. I'm gonna look at that for a second because I think that basketball game is actually gonna be pretty decent. They always put out a pretty decent basketball game, and I'll give you my thoughts and opinions on that, and we'll just go from there. All right, y'all. Y'all guys enjoy the rest of y'all day. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll be back with more content. You guys take it easy, and you guys be blessed. Peace.